Bonjour tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez bien. Often get this question that, ma'am, I missed my expressio écrite exam, despite the fact that the student got C1 in rest of the 3 modules. And why is that? Because this particular module, I'd say this particular section of the exam is extremely difficult, and yes, it requires a lot of efforts, a good French, and of course some tips and tricks which could help you to get over this particular section. So today we are going to talk in this video what all things, especially the 5 tips and tricks that I am going to talk to you about, which would definitely help you to overcome this these problems and definitely pass this with flying colors. So let's get started. The first one is whether section A or section B. Don't use any cramped sentences. Often it has been noticed that what students do, if despite having good French linguistic skills, they try to use a lot of cramped sentences, which gives a very dear or bad impression to the invigilator, and that's something absolutely not recommended to any of the TEF students who would like to crack this exam, because cramped sentences, memorized phrases, of course doesn't help your invigilator to evaluate your real French linguistic skills, and that's how you don't want to get your marks loose there. So let's now get on to the tip number 2. For the tip number 2, I would like to mention that I often get these questions from my students, or that they have been told to use some particular sentences, some particular grammar phrases forcefully in order to impress the examiner. Please don't get fooled by such advices. All I want to say here is that invigilator wants to understand your real French linguistic skills, and for that what they need to do is, of course, they want to understand, they want to see how well you are in the French, and definitely you have to show your grammatical range. Having said that, you can't do that at the cost of something which is purposefully. You cannot throw the sentence forcefully in the exam, even if it is making no sense. If it is not related to the subject which you've been asked to write on, then do not write anything which is forcefully you've been told to write just because you'll get the marks. Instead, I would advise you to use the tense which you think that is really going in sync with your subject which you've been asked. Or else, what else you can do here is that you can do a lot of practice, that how the same line you could have written in different tense or different phrases, and this will help you to overcome this problem of enforcing the sentences in the paragraph. Tip number 3. So for the tip number 3, I would say that this is for the section B, that make 3 separate paragraphs and put your all arguments, of course, in each of the paragraphs, and there should not be any similarity between these 3 paragraphs. What I mean by that is, when we write, we end up forget understanding that there is a similarity between my first point and my second point. For example, if in case the topic is something related about the internet, generally I have seen copies where students end up writing about the technology. If it is about the technology, they end up writing about the internet, or internet leads to the réseaux sociaux, which is your social website, social networking sites. So just have an understanding that what exactly the question, the subject is demanding. You cannot digress, and you have to ensure that all 3 arguments are separated from each other, which would definitely give a very good impression to the examiner that yes, the student has actually understood the subject which has been asked for, and you would definitely get the great marks which you are intending for. Moving on to the tip number 4, I would mention limit your word count. Generally, we end up writing in the section A 200 words, and in the section B, I know the students who have ended up writing it up to 400, 450, which you cannot afford. A, you would have a limited time. B, you would have to type on the computer with the accents on your screen, which anyway restricts the time to you. And 3, the more you write, it is unless you're really expert, the more you write, you will give a chance to the examiner to find more errors, which we don't want. So my advice here would be, for this section A, stick to something not more than 150, or maybe of course above 100, I would say 100 words, and 150 up to 150 should be all right. And for the section B, I'd say go over 250, but try and avoid crossing 300, 320 words, because the more you write, you would have lot of chances to compromise your quality of the essay or quality of the article, which we don't want to happen, and which we don't definitely want to leave that bad impression on the examiner. So that was the tip number 4. Right, so here we come to the tip number 5, which apparently is the last advice that I want to talk about in Express Your Écrit, which really haunts most of you. So in the 5th one, I would like to mention that stick to the point. So basically in this exam, in fact in all the language exams, it's been said we use a technique called KISS, keep it short and simple. So why not here? We can use the same technique here in the TEF Canada exam as well. So particularly for the writing section, whether it is A, whether it is B, keep it short and simple. And if I would say, you rather use the technique cut the crap. So whether it is section A, whether it is section B, come to the point, state your argument, what you want to mention, and write your essay, and that's it. You're good to go. The mantra is don't digress. If you digress from the topic, there is no way examiner can understand your intention. You really cannot explain in the bracket, this is what I mean. No. If you really want to flaunt your linguistic skills and you want to talk a lot about it, trust me, this is not the platform. This is an exam. You have to respect the word count. You have to respect the examiner who is checking your paper. So you have to give the examiner a real nice copy who is a little different from others, and the examiners enjoy reading it. And that is all possible if you stick to the point, don't digress, and whatever you've been asked for, do that and get over with it. And that's it. And with all these 5 points, I'm sure you would excel. And as I said, you can mention in the comment what all things that you struggle with, what all topics that haunts you, that I would be able to help you with. Is it something that you're not able to understand? Then I'll write here, and you can contact me. I'll mention all of my details here in the below link, and you please subscribe my channel, because with your support I would know that what all I have to help you with. And we never know, we could be meeting in Canada soon. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.